What's good? What's good? What's good? What is good, family? This is RawTruth Media giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. Please like and share this video throughout all social media platforms. Hope you're having a blessed day. Now let's talk about the game yesterday. Jackson State got a great win over Southern. It's a rivalry game. And in Mumford Stadium, that is, it's tough to win games there, especially a rivalry game, especially two teams. One thing I didn't realize, Jackson State, and I already knew it was a rivalry, but the disdain that Jackson State and Southern have for each other, these two teams do not like each other, and it showed. Hit the like button, subscribe to this video if you haven't. Uh, it was a physical game, a lot of hitting out there, and for Southern, all I gotta say is, you couldn't go in the transfer portal and get a FBS quarterback that has experience, somebody. Because no offense to Harold Blood, he's just not it. Just not it. Shout out to brother Bakari. He said, peace and black power. Peace and black power to you, my brother, and I hope all is well. Man, it's Andre Hunt, man. I don't know what his 40 time is, but he's fast as shit. Brother's fast as shit. Shout out to Trap Music. He said, you started too early, bro. Oh, it's a good thing to start early. It's a good thing to wake up early. You get a lot of things done. And yeah, shout out to I'm the Shanada Chrysler. She said, the I love. Yes, it is. Now, I said this on Twitter. The biggest overreaction this whole football season was when Jackson State lost to FAMU. When we all knew that FAMU, this was their most talented team in years. And when Jackson State lost to them, I knew there was going to be a big overreaction. I knew people were going to be questioning the coach and stuff. The great thing about this game against Southern, now y'all got to see what Jackson State could look like, and they could be better than what they played. T.C. Taylor mentioned that they have a lot of stuff to work on, and he's right. Jackson State could take their game even to greater heights. They got the speed, they got the athletes. Another overreaction. When people thought the DBs weren't fast and athletic, the DBs are not like last year, but they're still good DBs. In the FAMU game, the DBs gave up 150 yards passing. In this game, they didn't give up that much. So the talent is there. The D-line is stout like always. Jackson State interior D-line is probably the best in the SWAC. The edge rushers, I give that to FAMU. But the interior defensive line for Jackson State is elite. Brother Bakari says the D-line with Doyle and Webb leading the way was awesome. It was. Good luck blocking them. And looking throughout the SWAC West, the other side, of course, the SWAC West is wide open. I repeat, the SWAC West is wide open. Pearview underperformed against Abilene Christian. Abilene Christian beat Pearview so bad, they made Pearview look like they're playing against an FBS school. It was embarrassing. Trap Music says, what happened to Tristan Sion? He went to JUCO. Get the likes up, family. Hit the likes. Hit the likes. I am Shanita Chrysler says, the rivalry game that at 3 o'clock get you in your car. For sure. Yeah, that D-line is nasty, and there was nothing Southern could do. Harold Blood was running so much, running backwards like the late, great Gregory Hines, man. That brother was just zooming, trying to get some space, trying to get some throws out, and there was no space. It's kind of weird because the Jackson State defense all of a sudden became underrated. This is how bad these Shines are. They looked at one bad game against FAMU where special teams was horrible and what did they give up? Almost 300 yards of special team yards and a touchdown here and there in special teams. And everybody overreacted and act like this defense wasn't good. If you look at film, this defense is so good that when Georgia Tech played against South Carolina State, they was using the same stuff that Jackson State was doing versus South Carolina State this weekend. So it's no coincidence that this is a good defense, that their offense, when they're consistent, is good. Now, Southern's defense is actually good. They got a stout D-line. Their DBs are talented, especially their safety for Southern. And they're going to have a lot of low-scoring games within the conference. So this is not an easy defense to score against, meaning Southern. Jackson State did what they needed to do, but like, again, earlier I said on the stream, like TC pointed out, there's a lot to work on. And I expect TC Taylor to use Andre Hunt more, no matter if it's reverses or screens or being a wideout. Get him in space. And there's not many people, not only in this conference, but in the FCS, that could slow him down. As for Jason Brown did what he needed to do. Remember, he had a hand injury. And I'm sure he was recovering from it. He'll be just fine. But Jackson State has a lot of depth at quarterback. Zyman Donald's good. Jacoby Morgan's good. Brother Bakari says Doyle and Webb stayed in the backfield, especially in the second half. Oh, yeah, the haters are not going to talk about that. I hit up a homie, one of the subscribers I know hit me up, and we was talking about the Jackson State defense, and I mentioned that, can you believe that this defense is underrated? Really, the defense is underrated now. They overreacted on one loss, and now they don't have no defense, supposedly, quote unquote. But what you saw, and what Brother Bakari pointed out, the edge rushers are there, the defense is there, the DBs are athletic. Because when you look at Southern has the athletes. They have no structure. And that's the problem with Southern. And for Eric Dooley, if you know Southern fans, they're not gonna settle for mediocrity too long. And I'm not for having head coaches fired, but I'm just telling you how Southern fans are. I have family members from Louisiana, so whether they're Grambling fans or Southern fans, they take that seriously. And they're not going to put up with it. For Dooley, the best thing you can do is win out in the SWAC West. And as you can see, the SWAC West is wide open. A lot of teams have underperformed in the SWAC West. The SWAC East, a lot of teams have stepped their game up. Grambling State, even though they lost to LSU, and anybody would have lost to LSU really badly, I believe Grambling State will have something to say as well with that offense. I'm really impressed with Miles Crawley. He's going to have a lot to say. Let's have 30 likes, family. Let's have 30 likes. Let me do that real quick. Trap Music says Dooley is disappointed. Yeah, that was not a good offensive performance. But again, Jackson State and their defense made it difficult. And you could see Southern was trying to do what FAMU did. Southern has a big offensive line, and they're very physical in the trenches. But the thing is, Southern doesn't have a Musa. Southern doesn't have a Jaquez yet, or scratch all that. Southern doesn't have a Willie Simmons. So that's why it didn't work. And when you're trying to do what FAMU did with Harold Blood, that's not going to take you too far. One of the stupidest things I heard on the web when Jackson State lost to FAMU, that, we finally found a cheek in the arbor. Remember that? We finally find the Jackson State weakness. Remember, that's what they said. And then Southern tried to do the same stuff as FAMU, and it didn't work. And my message to all SWAC teams, if you're trying to do what FAMU did against Jackson State, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Now for special teams, Jackson State, you have to clean that up. I repeat, Jackson State, you have to clean that up. That was terrible special teams, and you're better than that. You got the athletes to prevent long returns, block kicks, all that stuff. You got to fix that. Special teams are so important in the game of football. And, yeah, you can't have that stuff happening. Let's get it to 40 likes, family. Let's get it to 40 likes. Hit the like button if you have it. Kevin Thompson says, Dooley called a bad game, mostly vertical routes. Guess he wanted the quarterback to run if no one's open. Yeah, Harold Blood, he's a one-read quarterback, meaning he's only going to do one read. If he doesn't see, he's going to go. For Southern to be better, and I know Jackson State fans don't want to hear it because, it's a rival. I respect that. But for Southern fans to be better, they have to go in the portal and get that guy. I'll say it again. For Southern to be where they want to be, and it could be close to the Pete Richardson era or the golden age, you have to get a quarterback that is that guy, that has played in the FBS. It will make your life easier. And look, I'm not saying going to the portal all the time, but there needs to be a balance. You see how JSU, they got a mixture of portal guys and high school guys that contribute. And you see players that, like 21, Moultrie. Moultrie was recruited and developed and waited his turn, and you saw him playing. That's one thing that T.C. Taylor does that he doesn't get credit for. People will say that JSU only relies on the portal. That's not totally true, because you saw players that were recruited. Kobe Paul was recruited. You saw him play and develop. So it's a developing team. They only used the portal this year. And I got to say this because I'm tired of the dumbass narrative that they had to rely on the portal. Since Jackson State players were poached the past year, roster gutted out, Coach T.C. Taylor had to go in the portal and rectify the roster. What do you want him to do? Get 50 high school players that are not on D1 level? No, you're going to go in the portal and help assure it. I bet you one thing. I bet you the high school recruiting numbers will be higher this year than last year. Bank on it. Brother Bakar says, FAMU offense didn't do much against Jackson State. FAMU special teams and the 4 turnovers kept them in short fields. And even though I like where FAMU is at and they're talented, that is true. Special teams killed Jackson State. When you have almost 300 yards of special teams, you ain't beating nobody. When you have turnovers on top of special teams blunders, you're not going to beat nobody. I don't care how talented you are. You're not going to beat much teams. Let's get it to 50 likes, family. Let's get it to 50 likes. You're not going to beat that much teams doing that. If I'm going to give you an example. If FAMU played against, let's say FAMU played against Grambling, and they gave up 2 return touchdowns, and then they turned over the ball that led to scores, like short field scores, they're going to lose that game. Anybody can lose when you turn over the ball that much and when you give up special teams yards. That has to be rectified by Jackson State. You can't give up long returns anymore. You're too talented. You're too athletic. And I think it will get better. T.C. Taylor, as a first-year head coach, has done very well. And I know that may be surprising to some people, but it's not surprising to me. I'm going to tell you why. Because the expectations were so high because he's coaching at Jackson State. It's a historic program. No one was fair with T.C. Taylor in his coaching assessment. He lost one game, and everybody was acting like, oh, it's not the same since the previous coach. But what I've seen is TC Taylor is able to adapt, learn, and adjust. And you see improvement with this team every week. Um, Special teams wasn't like I needed to be, what I saw, but it was better than last week, and they assured it. They did some things. They got Seven McGee back, and once Seven McGee gets comfortable, you will see him utilized more. And you can see what Jackson State's trying to do. And when they get fully comfortable in the playbook, shout out to Ken Clark and Zoe. Ken Clark and Zoe was ahead of the curve. They have told everybody that in around week 4 or the 4th game, then you'll see JSU start to open the playbook more comfortability-wise. Trap Music says McGee didn't do much. He just got back from injury, and I expected that. Let him get acclimated, and once that happens, he's gonna be good. So this coming week, sorry, I'm kind of stuffy right now. It's allergies. Jackson State's gonna be playing Texas State. I'm definitely going to that game. If anybody else is going to that game, let me know. Texas State just lost to UTSA, so they're going to be hungry for a win. Texas State is very good at passing. They run an air raid offense with G.J. Kinney. And I bet you, and you know what's funny? I think it's weird. I thought the whole SWAC would root for each and every one of us, each and every one of these teams going against FBS competition. But I guarantee you will have some JSU haters rooting for them to lose to Texas State instead of rooting for a HBCU to knock off an FBS team. I guarantee you. It's going to be the weirdest thing. It's going to be a tough game. But if you're a Jackson State player that's a pro prospect or, thinking about going to the pros, you want to do well in this game. And if I'm TC Taylor, I'm telling the players, if you want to make it to the pros, do your job. This is a game the scouts will be at. This was a game that will be showcased. So all you have to do is do your job. Don't give up no special team blunders. Don't give up no dumb fumbles. Don't turn over the ball. And you could be in this game. It's any given Saturday in college football. Any given Saturday. If you want it the most, you can win the game. Michelle says, I looked at the quarterback stat comparison with JSU Texas State. I wasn't impressed. Texas State. Credit to UTSA. UTSA, man, they got a good defense. Actually, they should have won the Houston game. But UTSA has a really stingy defense. Actually, I was invited to one of their practices. We know one of their coaches, and I'm not surprised what they did against Texas State. I'm sure TC, as well as Maurice Harris and company, defensive coordinator, is going to look at that film very decisively and see what they did defensively. But you have to get pressure on their quarterback, TJ Finley. TJ Finley is going to be the best quarterback they play against this season. He's a big boy, man. He's 6'7", 260. He's hard to take down. You got to wrap up when you tackle him. JSU Tigers said it absolutely well. They're bringing in Seven slowly, as I could tell in the film, because of the injury. One thing about TC Taylor and what he does well, he cares about the players' long-term health. So even if they could have played, Seven could have played last week. But I believe that TC wanted him to be 100% and don't want him to have more injuries. That's a coach who cares for their players. And not surprised by that. So they're going to bring Seven along because, people are going to be like, oh, what about Seven? He didn't do anything. You got to make sure he's fully healthy. So they're going to bring him on slowly. But when he figures it out, not figures it out, but when he gets back to his game, then you'll see Jackson State open up the offense to their full potential. It's going to be crazy. JC Tiger says, I'll be in San Marcos, travels for H-Town. Shout out to my H-Town family. Shout out to the H-Town Jackson State fans. Oh, yeah, y'all roll deep, man. It's going to be lit out there. The tailgate. You know I'm going to check out the tailgate. You know I'm checking that out. Chelsea Jackson State definitely has issues with tackling. Still shaking my head. Another thing that Jackson State got to clean up. This week, I prayed to the Most High that Jackson State is doing a full-on tackling circuit. DBs, safeties, linebackers. I'm not going to say the D-line. The D-line knows how to tackle. It's not knowing how to tackle. It's just consistent tackling. Tackle, 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 tackle. When one of those inside receivers get those bubble screens for Texas State, I need you to key in your target and knock the crap out of them. This is how you send a message. When I watched FAMU against USF, a game that they should have won, but they did play hard, they let USF know it was going to be a long game, but one of their DBs, I think Bueller, one of those players, DBs, knocked the crap out one of the receivers. That's what they got to do. They got to be physical in this game. Don't worry about the scoreboard. Nobody's picking you to win this game anyway. So what you have to do is beat the crap out of the skill players. If you come through the middle at a little slant route or inside post, knock the crap out of them. Shout out to the brother Cedric Walker. He said, I love. Alamus Marina says, a hacker has entered the chat. Name is Alamus Marina. What the heck? Let me get him out of here. All right. That was weird. Yeah, you got to be physical when you play against Texas State. Got to be physical with them and let them know that it would not be a cakewalk. But if Jackson State somehow wins this game, there's a stat. Do you know that in the SWAC conference, no one has beaten the FBS team since the late 80s? Brother Bakari is at 100% right. The energy has to be high. This low energy crap has to be fixed. From the FAMU game to the Southern game, slow starts, low energy. That has to be picked up. You can't afford to have low energy starting out against Texas State. If you do that, you're gonna get destroyed. You got so much people driving down to Texas State, San Marcos, Texas, to watch you play. At least get the energy up. And besides, the NFL scouts are going to be there. So if you're an athlete playing in that game and you're playing for Jackson State, why would you want to play with low energy? So I believe, and it's just a hunch, I think the energy will pick up. Yeah, the SWAC needs this victory. And if you're a SWAC fan, I don't care if you dislike JSU. If you don't root for JSU to win this game, I don't know what to tell you. You're not for HBCU unity. You're not for trying to level the playing field. If you're not rooting for Jackson State to win this game, then you're really no different than the people that's trying to tear down HBCUs. Because I read that. Maximilian says Jason Brown is active in the pocket. He needs to settle down and make clean passes. It's just about relaxation. Once Jason Brown's feet are set, he throws more accurate passes. But I have to let y'all know about Jason Brown. Jason Brown, one thing that no one points out about his skill set, he does have a strong arm. So if there's a way to connect on those long passes, because Because when he throws, even in his misses, you see the arm strength. You like, wait, he got a strong arm. He got a cannon for arm. Yashel says, I really wanted FAMU to win yesterday. Come on, JSU. Let's do this next week. Yeah, the SWAC needs this, man. I'm tired of people. I'm from the South. I got relatives that went to, colleges and SWAC schools, so it means a lot to me. It could be anybody in the SWAC, anybody from this conference to win these out of conference games. It's bigger than one school. It's about the conference pride. I was doing the same thing for FAMU. I wanted FAMU to be USF, and they almost did. They almost did. And Musa played not a good game. He played a great game against USF. JC Tiger says, I know a black podcast puller for Texas State, but won't say his name. Yeah, we're not going to throw no names. We're positive right here, but I know who you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. I'm not really worried about that because it is what it is. It is what it is, man. At the end of the day, don't you want your conference to look great? That's all I'm saying. And I like how Texas State plays. I watched them a couple of times. I watched Texas State play against Baylor, and they have a great team. So, last but not least, I know it's going to sound like a beat-up old drum, but I have to say it again to the Jackson State players. This is a game that your energy has to be high. This is a game that if you do well in this game, this will change your life. You never know. An NFL scout could see you do well against Texas State. They said, wait a minute, you such and such, let's say Sias Guthrie. If he had a big game against Texas State, a scout for any team is going to be like, you know what? I remember him being a ball hawk against Texas State. I may have to draft him. And that's what they're going to do. James Houston, he didn't play the whole game that year in 2021 against ULM. But when scouts saw that the ULM offense had to double team him because he was wrecking havoc in their backfield, they noticed that. The Lions drafted him. Matter of fact, James Houston produced so much in Jackson State, people were saying, where did he come from? But he went to Florida. But he elevated his game at JSU. And that's why you see James Houston always repping the SWAC, repping JSU, HBCUs, because what it did for his career. The same as Isaiah Bolden. Isaiah Bolden was injured, but if Isaiah Bolden wasn't injured this year, he's the starting kick returner, punt returner for the Patriots. So what does it tell you these couple years? Jackson State has produced some ballers. Brother Bacardi pointed out again, he said, we have to hit Texas State in the mouth early. Morgan State choked the game away yesterday. I pull for HBCU versus those historical white colleges. Yeah, man. I rooted for Morgan State the other day, too. And for Morgan State, the Morgan State offense failed the defense. The defense did everything to win that game. At the end of the game, all they needed was to run the ball, run out clock, and then when you had the play called down, if they would have ran the ball, they would have took 30 seconds off, and it would have been 30 seconds left in the game. Punt the ball, good. The dude fumbled the ball, and Akron scored, and it was over. You cannot make mental errors against FBS teams. You cannot make mental mistakes like that. Morgan State, this whole season, they're going to be just fine. They'll be a really good team in the MEAC. Once Morgan State gets an offense, it's going to be scary for not just the MEAC, but the FCS. I'll say this right now. The Morgan State defense is so good. If they had a normal offense, they're a top 5, top 10 team in the FCS. Tell me if I'm lying, family. If Morgan State had a normal offense that didn't turn over the ball, that at least had a normal run game and an identity, they'll be a top 5, top 10 team in the FCS just because of their defense. So Jackson State, learn from what other teams have done. Don't turn over the ball. Yeah, should have done a victory formation. Let the clock bleed. You're better off doing that than fumble the ball. But I like Morgan State. They're really good. Chris Salas says our secondary got exposed last night. The 50-50 balls, that can be corrected. The secondary, they got long athletes. Just because the secondary is not like last year where they had Isaiah Bolden, Travis Hunter, and many dogs, doesn't mean it's not good this year. I think the secondary is still good. It's just not last year, which is okay. But this is a damn good secondary. You're not going to... That's rare to have a secondary shutting down receivers all the time. And matter of fact, in 2021, one of Jackson State's best years, the Southern game was a close game. Remember that? Remember the Southern receivers catching the deep ball, and it took a Shadir Sanders game winner to win that game. It's funny, people forget that. But yeah, the cornerbacks need to clean up on the technique, but the talent is there. I have no worries with the DBs. But I hope y'all have a blessed day. This is RawTruth Media. I'm out.